Raghunath. Bam, we're live. Raghunath. Oh. Maybe I had it spelt wrong all along. Raghunath. Oh, I'm not even saying it right. Raghunath. I only listened to it 100 times before I came on yesterday. I still can't get it. Raghunath.
You got it.
Oh, shit. You got the memo to wear these glasses. Awesome.
Reflector glasses, are these problematic?
No, they're perfect. They're almost identical to mine, I feel like, except your dots go horizontal and mine are vertical. What's up, dude?
How are you guys?
Oh,
Good.
so good.
Great.
So good. I woke up. Are you in California? Raghunath. I don't have any friends even with the name close to yours. Raghunath. I have to practice Raghunath.
How about ragu, like the tomato sauce? Keep it real
Ragu.
simple.
Ragu. Are you in California?
New York. Upstate New
Okay.
York.
I woke up this morning. I'm in Santa Cruz, and I woke up and it was sunny. And even though I got this crazy sore throat this morning when I woke up, I was like, "Oh, it's still a great day. Still a great day." Hey, thank you for coming on. This is really cool to meet you.
Pleasure, man. Thank you.
We won't dilly dally. We won't dilly dally. I'm gonna paraphrase this thing that Gandhi said. I apologize. You can't separate church and state, because when you walk around, your life is your religion. That is your religion. You are your religion. You are the living manifestation of your religion. You are the expression of your religion. And I heard you express it in a different way that I really loved. Don't give up what you're good at. Take what you're good at and spiritualize it. And I was like, yeah, I'm digging it.
Yeah. I think as far as Vedic Dharma or Sanatan Dharma, or what we know in the West as Hinduism, which is a misnomer. There's no such thing as Hinduism in all reality. It's a made-up word by the Greeks or by the Persians. Someone made it up. You don't understand something, you give them some word, some pejorative. And after a while, because you're such a powerful country, the people that you're giving the word to just start identifying themselves with that word as well. So you can go to Columbia University and get a degree in PhD in Hinduism, but there's no word Hindu. It means people east of the Sindhu River, and it's all different people on a quest for spiritual life, and the spiritual life isn't separated from life. It's not like I have my church on Sunday for about an hour and 15 minutes, and then I go back to my material existence. Life is spiritual existence. And we can't disconnect the deity or the concept of God separate from nature. Not like Christ is the deity and everything else is some type of mundane backdrop. There's spirit in every plant. There's spirit in every animal. There's spirit in every tree. There's spirit in the earth itself. And it's trying to develop the vision that everything is actually spirit. Even my biggest enemy actually a spiritual being. We may see things completely different, but we have a lot in common. And I wish it's like the left and the right could see this as well. People generally, for the most part, have good inside them, but there's just ways they think that the ultimate good will be served, and then we just start going at it and creating others and creating massive divides. But the idea that spirit is everywhere and we are spirit is a nice set of lens. And therefore, in the Vedic culture, the Sanatan Dharma, the idea is that everybody's on a path. We see some Christian, or we see person worshiping Allah, or Jewish. We see, oh, nice, they're on a spiritual path. It's not a win to convert somebody from one path to another path. We're on a spiritual quest. A win for me as a teacher of Vedic Dharma, of yoga philosophy, is, hey, this person is getting serious about their spiritual life in their tradition. Great. Good for them. Whatever brings you closer to that revelation that we're all connected beings, instead of finding others or boogeymen to go after. We have our own boogeymen we have to deal with. And a big part of yoga culture is stop trying to change the world if you yourself are stuck in the mud, if you yourself are in the gutter. Start putting the microscope on ourselves. How can I uproot these things that all spiritual paths talk about? Uprooting greed, desire, envy, fault finding, criticism of other people. How about shining the light on myself and doing a lot of self work? And I know that as a parent of 5 kids, if I want my kids to eat better, to behave better, to treat women or men, other people, their friends better, then I have to start being that example for them. I don't have to preach to them to eat healthy. I got to just eat healthy. It's that simple, isn't it? Our teaching
Raghunath,
is living, huh?
This is Matt Souza, the executive producer, by the way, of the show. And I'm Seval Matosian, the guy who sits in a room in Santa Cruz.
Great to meet you.
Coming in hot. It's what you said about the left and right. I've heard you talk about also before, and I definitely noticed that growing up, being raised in Nazi Berkeley. There was our whole identity was based on the opposition.
Sure.
And now as I wake up, it's important to I don't do the same thing from the other side, right? I stood on one side of the room and said, I am not that. And now I don't want to go to the other side of the room and point, I am not that. And build my whole identity on the opposition.
I think it's a lot. We'll have.
Oh, you look good without glasses. I mean, you look good with glasses too, but man, you have nice eyes. Go on.
It adds a whole new level of personality with the glasses.
Yeah, on and off, they're both good.
2 IQ points higher. I think for me, it works much better in life and in general, and perhaps just culture could adopt this to see what we have in common and what are our differences. Like, what do we have in common with these people? It's a bad way to go into any relationship. Is what are our differences? What do we have in common here? What do we want? Do we want to raise happy, healthy children? I got a feeling a lot of people do. I got a feeling right down to the snakes and the hawks and the pigs and they want to protect our children for the most part. Some gerbils will eat their babies, but on the side note, we have a lot in common, and I think the focus should be there.
Yeah, the praying mantis eat each other.
Yeah,
in a pinch, you'll do anything. Did you ever read that? Did you ever read that book, Mouse? It's a graphic novel, comic book. It won the Pulitzer.
I didn't, but I know. Yeah, I didn't, but I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, it's a trip. There's some stuff in there that I didn't even expect, but that component's in there. You know what I mean? People drowning in
a comic book.
Yeah, but it's a true story. It's supposed to be. It's about using mice and rats and pigs to tell the story of people escaping Nazi Germany during World War II. But you see that everything changes if there's 50 people drowning in a pool. You people will step on top of people to get out.
Really interesting, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
It's fascinating when we're put in these very tough situations. I mean, sometimes it doesn't have to be Nazi Germany. Sometimes it has to be. You lost your job. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Divorce. You're
you get canceled. You get canceled.
Right. I'm recently going through a divorce. It's not official, and I found it to be like super tough emotionally to deal with. I was married for 17 years, raised 5 kids, and my teacher just gave me beautiful advice and said, you just got to cut it swiftly, and don't act out of resentment, anger, spite, or revenge. And I was like, and I've kept it with me through the whole process, and it's had ups and it's had lots of downs, or times where I feel like I have every right in the book right now to be resentful, angry, spiteful, etc. And with that advice, it kept sort of certain guardrails that I wouldn't cross. And then when I did cross them, I felt the ding, sort of the scrape of the side of the car on the guardrail. And I thought, no, I can't keep it like that. And really, all these instructions, and this is back to spiritual things too, all these ideas, they don't use this word sin so much in Vedic thought, because the idea is it's not like some evil guy or some sadistic God is there to punish you for some crime. The idea is there are parameters or rules of the road that we follow for our benefit. not because the higher power is sadistic. The higher power is love. And so why are there rules within that? For our benefit, so we don't suffer. And that can be seen like if I don't eat right, let's take it back to eating. If I don't eat right, there's rules about overeating. You can eat as much as you want, but there's rules. If you overeat, if you eat on top of undigested food, etc., then you're going to cause indigestion. The whole system's going to break down. It's going to have a ripple effect of problems in your overall health, vitality, etc. So this concept of sin, we don't quite accept it so much. It's just like, it just means your harm. It's self-harm. It's not projected as some sadistic being who's there to punish you for inappropriate behavior, like some nasty school principal. We're punishing ourselves.
At 14 years old, Raghunath was in, I think, New York City, formerly known as Ray, and he saw the band, I forget their name, but which you guys all know is the Beastie Boys. He watched them perform. He went home. Like any good 14-year-old boy, he said, shit, I think I can do that. He called some friends up. They got creative. They started banging on instruments. And it was the birth of a musician. God, youth is wonderful, isn't it?
It can be.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
It can also be horrible, treacherous, fearful, anxiety-ridden.
Right.
Depends what situation, but it was a nice time in my life where I felt like I'm just going to go for it. I can do this.
And the people around him in his scene, there were a lot of just like I guess all the music scenes. There was a lot of alcohol, drugs, partying, and he ended up. Would you say being the foundation of this hardcore scene, but what you guys called straight edge, where you guys were like, your music was hard, but your lifestyle was
very clean cut.
Yeah, or your lifestyle had equanimity. Your lifestyle was to best channel this hardcore music.
Yeah, it was. We were into our message of anger. Was sort of internal towards our own self-discipline. We didn't drink, we didn't smoke, we were vegetarians, and I didn't coin the phrase, but I wasn't, who was it? Adam Smith, but I might have been, who's the guy that started the Mormons? I wasn't the first guy.
John Smith?
I might have been the Brigham Young, perhaps.
Yeah, okay.
I wasn't Moroni, the angel that appeared to them.
You weren't Jesus. You were like Paul.
But anyway, yeah, yes, and it wasn't easy because it wasn't. The music scene was also filled with rock and roll and drugs and etc. But that punk hard runaway scene was really messing with people died. It was incredibly violent. It was underground. Is the early 80s. So it was just like it was a freak show. And I loved that freak show because I was one of the freaks. So back then there was mainstream arena rock, the Cheap Tricks of the world and the, Rush and Jay Giles band. And then there was like a weird, even when hip hop was underground and punk was underground, even Madonna was hanging out in that scene. And we were just like sort of like you play in weird, crappy places. And then all of a sudden sort of took a little bit more root. And it just then it became very normal and normalized. But back then, to shave your head or to, dress peculiar or dye your hair, you were considered a psychopath, even to have a tattoo. Nowadays,
tattoos were wild.
Starbucks, the guy serving you the latte has a tattoo on his neck.
Yeah.
Were illegal in New York City in the 80s.
Yeah.
You had to go into somebody's house and, they have to tattoo you with a gun.
This lady I know got a tattoo of a giant fly on her neck. A really wealthy, successful woman got into drugs and got a fly on her neck. There's
Yeah,
no
back
point to that
then-
story. I just think a fly on your neck. I just thought it was a bad choice. I just wanted to mention. I just thought I judge her. I judge her for it as a bad choice.
Back then, if you were to get anything even on your forearm, you were considered, okay, your career is over. You will have no career. Little did they know how the culture would shift.
I don't have any tattoos.
Yeah, now you're the most punk rock person out there.
Yeah.
Do
it's a
you know
rarity.
what thought precedes getting a tattoo?
It could be my daughter just saw my hand tattoo. I got the shelter chakra. It's a the weapon of Lord Vishnu on my hand. It was our band's logo. And my daughter, and I posted a picture before my daughter saw it. And she goes, Dad, did you get a hand tattoo? I was like, listen, I'm 56 years old. It doesn't matter anymore.
I can do whatever I want.
Preceded my hand tattoo.
Raghunath, if I have 2 5-year-old boys and a 7-year-old,
I've always wanted twins.
and if they come home with some shit like a gauge in their ear, or like a tattoo or something, I'm gonna go straight to the store. I'm gonna make them watch, and I'm gonna get a Prince Albert and make them watch it. I'll be like, oh, you are my Van Gogh, you are my Sistine Chapel. And you just put that hole in my Sistine Chapel. Oh, cool. Well, you love me. Well, let's see how you like it if I put a hole in my penis. That's the current plan.
I just show him.
Yeah.
Show him.
Put a hole in your ear. Size of a fucking roll.
Hey, I got an earring when I was 16 in high school, and my father lost his mind.
I love your dad. Is your dad Jewish? Are you got Jew
We're
roots?
Italian. We're Italian.
Oh.
My dad was Italian. He's not alive any longer, but I sort of gave him a run for his money in the last years of his life, sadly.
Guys, we're gonna jump all over because that's what I do. There's a great story with his dad. His dad was in coma for 3 years, which is
And when we say great, we mean horrific.
But I want to go somewhere else before there's so many doors open. Are you training? Did you train at 10th Planet in Los Angeles?
I was there when he opened it.
Wow.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
can you just tell me how you got into martial arts?
That's how I know Joe Rogan, because Joe and Eddie and a handful of others, we all trained with Jean-Jacques Machado. And I got my purple belt from Jean-Jacques Machado. But a group of us were really into not fighting with gis. And it's before no gi fighting was popular at all. This was whatever, when was this? 2000 maybe? 2001 or something. So we used to train at this, what was this place in Hollywood called? The Bomb Squad. It was
That's not legal, putting your belt around a dude's neck like that.
That's for fun. Wow.
Yeah, Bomb Squad. Yes.
I was quite amazed at how Eddie made this thing take off. It was quite impressive. But you know what? Some of the traditional jiu-jitsu I started getting a little bored with. I was a yoga teacher. I did an hour and a half, 2 hours of yoga every day. The warm-ups drove me crazy sometimes in these jiu-jitsu classes. And, it's not bad. It's good to warm up. But I was just like, can I just drill, please? Can I just drill? So I love the way how Eddie just started the class. You take a move and you drill it. I don't know if it's still like this because I haven't gone to one of these classes in a while. You take, you take 3 moves and you drill them all month long. That's how we did it back then. And I was like, I like this way. And then you start to own these things. Otherwise, you learn a move. You learn 3 moves a day, and then you forget them by the next day unless you work them. It's just like with any technique that you do, even typing. You do the same thing every day, and you get good at it. And I like that. I like this type of approach to learning. So Eddie had like this whole parallel thing going on with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm glad it took off. And he was a great teacher. And we had similar bodies. We were both flexible and small. And so it was good for me to have to, when you have that disadvantage of being small, but you have an open mat and you have to fight against big guys, you can't rely on your weight. You have to rely on technique. So it was good. It forced me to expand myself, my martial education.
Why did you do that? Why did you get into? How old were you, and why did you take step into a Brazilian jiu-jitsu dojo?
You know, it was when UFC 1 and 2 first came out.
Yeah.
And I saw them. I was like, I got to learn how to grapple. I was doing a little bit of kickboxing at the time. I was like, I have to learn how to grapple.
So you saw that skinny. You saw the same thing I did. UFC 1, the guy got his tooth kicked out, the sumo wrestler. But we saw that skinny guy from Brazil win the whole thing, and we're like, "What?"
Basically won the whole thing. How would I be like that? I think that's what it was going through everybody's. And there was hardly any schools at that time, and so I unfortunately I got into it. And one of the first guys, yes, there they are. Early UFC.
God, I remember I paid for that. I was in college. I'm 50, by the way. You're 55, 56?
56, yeah.
56, okay.
So this was a great time to get into jiu-jitsu because there was all the Brazilians just came over. Even the first place I went to was Renzo Gracie, and I started studying with him. And my first day there, Matt Serra, who's another big UFC fighter, just got his purple belt that day.
Wow.
You got to meet all these great people back then and train with these great guys. It was a great time to get into it. Now it's amazing how much. It's not amazing. It's understandable how much it blew up. I know so many people who are accomplished at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now. And
are you still a practitioner?
I just messaged my friend about training tonight, but I can't say I'm like what I was when I used to. I haven't done. I used to do it incredibly seriously. And then when I got married and had kids, it's completely put a. This is my excuse, but I'm not blaming anybody but myself. But I just couldn't adjust to raising kids and the wife and all that stuff. But now that I'm divorced and I have that more time because the kids are with her and the kids with me, I'm thinking, here's my chance to get back into my passion.
How old is your youngest
child? It was
child?
a great passion thing where my youngest is 8.
Okay.
It was a passion thing that I purely did before I was married, and it was not something where I'm teaching. It's something where I'm just shut up and learning. So yeah. Oh, now I'm really interested in. C-lot and Filipino stuff. That's where my sort of brain is going towards.
So what's that? C-lot.
I'm gonna look it up.
C-L-O-T?
S-I-L-A-T.
I don't think I've ever guessed how any word is spelled correctly in my entire life. I have a perfect record. While Matt pulls this up, you talk about the 6 pillars of Bhakti.
Yeah. You know so much about me.
I stayed up last night studying. When someone says to me, I may only have a half hour, I think I leverage my ego and I say, I will create a room of love that he cannot leave. I will seduce him.
That's the opposite of ego.
At the 30-minute mark, he will be begging me for more. At 6 pillars of Bhakti, I will not criticize. Check. I am tolerant. No problem. Let the cockroaches crawl over me. I lean into discomfort. I will take no offense. Well, of course. I would be embarrassed. I would be my ego will not let me show being offended. I would leverage my ego and hide it, bury it, push it down, even if I had to. I think people who are offended are weak. I do not wish to expose my weakness to the world. I wish to fight with it alone. I am quick to apologize. I got a problem with this one. I got a real big problem with this one. Can we come back to it in 1 second?
Sure.
I learned these from you last night. I see the good in others and I let them know it. Oh, man. Man, you have nice eyes, Raghunath.
Thank you, my friend.
and I ran out of room here on the page. Don't tell me. Number 6, I am grateful for my blessings and I keep a tally. Holy crap. I look out the window and I see the sun is there and I'm thank you. I scream in my heart, thank you to the heavens for another beautiful day where the grass is green in my backyard.
Simple, powerful stuff.
Yes. This apology one really, really is something that I'm struggling with these days because of this reason. And I'll use your friend Joe Rogan as the example.
Sure.
When he apologizes for using a word that offends other people, what he is doing is validating their weakness, validating their right to be offended. There's a Taoist saying, argue your limitations and you're yours.
Sure.
I think it is one of the most bizarre things that we keep enforced on planet Earth, that Jews are born into the world and there's a word waiting for them, kike, that they are supposed to be offended by their entire life. And when we say sorry, we reinforce at the most fundamental levels of the human brain how it works and how words work, that we are insisting that they be offended. And I see us as plantation, not curators, I don't know what the other words are, but the enforcers of the implantation. You must be offended by those words. I insist. And I get concerned that an apology is at the root of that. Do you feel me on that? When I see when I watch my own mind, I see how that may. Sevon, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I said that short guys don't get pussy. When a girl tells me that, all I hear is that she meant it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm 5'5". It's like, yeah, I struggle with that one. Number 3, Raghunath. Number 4, I'm sorry. I'm quick to apologize.
Yeah, Seven. I appreciate your point.
Thank you.
And I fully understand. I fully, at least philosophically, understand that nobody can hurt me. Like I can only hurt myself. I can choose to be hurt, etc. And that's.
I looked up the word sorry, by the way, too, to make sure that I understood it right, and I think I do. Yeah.
Quick to apologize. So I understand that I'm not going to take offense. I'm not going to let people. I'm not going to hold on to those resentments. I won't take that offense. No one can hurt me. At the same time, I have to be sensitive because I tend to be obtuse. And that apology is to sort of clear me from my obtuseness or shorts. It doesn't mean I wallow in it and I live in it, but I'm going to hurt people. Of course, they may not be at the place where they won't let people hurt them, but I have to be sensitive. I have to be sensitive. I understand that also everybody's got their karma they got to deal with, and they have to relinquish also and get to that point of a little bit of a thicker skin to even survive in this world. They have to be sort of bulletproof in one sense. And I don't think we should pander to it, but for my benefit, I should be sensitive, because everybody's actually got God in their hearts. And therefore, even a person like yourself, if I said something that could be construed as hurtful, even though you have personal governance for yourself and your emotions, because you are a child of God, God takes offense. Like, God is sensitive. Just like for example, you can say whatever you want to me, but if you like rough up my kid, I'll lose my cool. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, I love that person.
Mm-hmm.
I love that child. And therefore, I become a mama bear, a papa bear, etc. In the same sense, you might be cool. You might be like, hey, you can't hurt me anyway. Call me whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Step on my foot. But because there is a source, a higher power that is all love and loves every living being, I have to be sensitive and just treat each other with dignity. Now, you might go out of your way. Some people were looking to be offended. Ever meet people like that? You could say, hey.
I see him on TV all the time.
I say, I love your shirt. And then be like, well, what's the matter with the shirt I wore yesterday?
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
I said, I love your shirt today. So they're looking to be hurt. And I will say, those people are going to have a lot of problems in their life. But that being said, I should be sensitive and just treat each other with an appropriate type of dignity and be sensitive, because I tend to be a little obtuse, short-sighted, etc. But I do hear what you're saying. And yeah, I don't know if that was useful, but that was my answer.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Are you familiar? Are you familiar with the artist Kendrick Lamar,
I'm not.
the rapper? Okay. I'm just going to tell you this in case it crosses your plate, because I think it will now that I mentioned it to you in the next whenever. He called in 2018. He's a famous rapper. In 2018, he called a woman on stage. He had her sing a song, a white girl. This is a black rapper, Kendrick Lamar. He had a white girl come on stage. Less melanin in her skin, I think, is the reason for that.
Yeah.
And he had her sing a song. And in that song, there were lyrics that white people aren't supposed to say, and he called her out on it, even though it was his song. And since then, I didn't like that game he played with her. Called a stranger onto stage and then call him out. Anyway, he has a new song that just came out. It's called Auntie's Diary, and it talks about how his aunt is now his uncle and went through transition. And about how that process has changed his perspective on things. And I think it's fascinating. And I was curious if you saw that, if you thought that he was becoming enlightened and realizing the power of words and suggesting that any man can say anything, their tongue is free, or if he was going the other way, if he was saying, no, you can't say that word, if he's adding a word to the list. I'm having trouble understanding the song, and I just need someone to talk to about it. But someone's like, get him on the show. I don't think I can get him on the show.
I'm unfamiliar with it.
All right, fine. Fine.
Raghunath. We'll have to ask him.
You're the wrong guy to talk to about Kendrick Lamar.
Sorry. I'm a little culturally illiterate of popular culture. Dude, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I me too. Did you ever think that you would get a divorce?
No, I didn't.
Never even in a million years.
Never. I didn't have a great marriage. I'm not going to dwell on it too much in my personal life, but didn't have a great marriage. But I just believe that there's a ripple effect of problems that come with divorce. And basically we should try to figure out what's not making us happy and figure out how to be happy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, anyway, I'm going to keep my private life a little private, but I didn't plan it. I don't like the idea of it, but I'm trying to find the light in it as well. I do think there's certain times that it is appropriate to do it, but for the most part, I think children benefit from having a family. It was a very weird thing when I was growing up. If you were divorced at my age, maybe at your age, you remember, I didn't know that many people that were divorced, and then it became very, very normal. And I think it has a ripple effect of problems on culture and kids and abandonment, etc., like that. But then again, abusive marriages also, I'm sure, have a bad effect. I think the fact is we're all going to get some trauma in this life, and how we teach our kids to react to trauma, that's going to help them. And how we react to trauma is what we're going to teach them. So yeah,
is she
advice on spite, revenge, etc.
Is she a practitioner? Does she have a practice?
Not like we originally, but I think her thing was not my thing. Her cup of tea was not my tea. So I think she had to find her own way. It would be very. Let's get her on the show.
It doesn't have to be an overt practice.
Let's get the ratings up here.
But a practitioner needs.
It helps to have partners. It helps.
Yeah, it can be totally different practice. They could be playing hacky sack, but you have to have a practice. You have to have.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I know people who are different spiritual faiths and have a successful marriage. It forces you to. It might not be easier, but sometimes it helps you see persons in a deeper way, and I think that's a big part of life. How can I see people in a deeper way than their surface, even their surface behavior sometimes, and learn to love people that are different than me? That's huge. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with Vipassana?
Yes, I am.
For those of you who aren't familiar with Vipassana, I'll just break it down like this. It's a place where you go. It's free. You sit down. You don't make eye contact with anyone or talk for 10 days. If you make it past 10 days, you could be invited back for 30. They send you home with an envelope. You can send money if you want. You don't have to. It's non-denominational. It's for Christians, Satanists, Buddhists, the whole anyone can go there. And that's a little bit of a simplification for it. They don't just set you down and plop you down, but there's a little bit of structure to it. You could stand up, walk around. There's a guy who, forget his name. Do you remember the guy's name? Goenka helps you through some of the common sticking points, I guess. They require an injection now, known as a vaccine, to participate in their program.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Interesting.
For no contact or talking, or
you just to attend their locations now. You must have be
vaccinated.
I'm trying to be serious about it. You have to do what Bill Gates says to go to Vipassana now. As I look, I don't see in stillness that. I don't see in stillness that action anywhere. I know that's really abstract. Maybe my ego is twisted into it. Do you see that in stillness anywhere? Do you see if I told you you had to lie down and guard all thought and movement, not to stop, but to be aware of all thought and movement, all sensation, as if you were trapped in a room with a king cobra? Would there ever be an action out of you that would say to go get the injection? Can you see that in stillness? I don't see how a practitioner of that could get moved to do that, let alone enforce
it. I could understand how a community with people in close contact quarters could,
yes, sir,
who's trying to maybe not get shut down,
right?
Could instill that rule. I could understand that.
But that still had to come from a thought, right? Like I asked you, what thought precedes the tattoo?
There's also a practical thing about how to open a church, a synagogue, a yoga center, etc. That there's certain rules that you have to follow if you want to have your doors open.
Okay.
Do I think it's a necessity to get a vaccine on a spiritual path? No. Do I think it disqualifies a person on a spiritual path? No. I think there's great souls who got vaccines and great souls who are completely anti-vaccines. I'm not even going to give you my personal opinion about it, but my opinion is that you can be a great soul and have, get swept up in the vaccine,
I agree.
And you could be a great soul and be like, no, I'm not going to put that into my body.
But that's the thing. It's not, I'm not going to put that into my body. In the essence of that teaching, in that stillness, that, like when I said what thought precedes getting the tattoo, it's an action that you could watch your mind and see its origins. And I'm just wondering what thought. I don't see a thought.
Are you talking about a practitioner or a person who's running that Vipassana center?
Well, shit. I hope the person who's running it's a practitioner, but maybe not.
No. I'm saying I'm sure they're practitioners of what they're teaching. I don't know enough about the organization itself. I
just use them as an example.
Like Goenka.
Yeah.
It ultimately comes from a Vedic teaching of Mona, which means you stop speaking. When you control what's coming out of your mouth, a lot comes up from the heart to the mind, and then you're dealing with your mental issues, and also it has a lot to do with what we're putting in our ears, because what we put in our ears affects the mind and spills out of the mouth.
Right.
And so it's a type of cleanse, because we exhaust ourselves by what we speak, and very often, it's interesting. It's like, I don't know why if I put a match under a piece of paper, it lights on fire. I don't know why it does. Can't quite explain it. Somebody could, but I can't. I don't know why if I put that same match under a stone, it doesn't light on fire, or if I put it on a piece of metal, the metal over time will turn and take on the same qualities of the match. It'll turn, bright red. So I don't know. I don't understand these things, but I do understand that there's sound vibrations that when they come out of the mouth, say vibration of criticism, a vibration of cruelty, a vibration of finding fault with other people or gossip. It's something happens to Matthew or Sevan when I speak like that, where we feel a little gross, a little dirty, a little soiled, right? Defiled.
Yeah.
From just speaking gossip. We just feel, and there's certain things, if I start to appreciate there's appreciative sounds that when I hear them, they affect my mind in a positive way. And the Vedic teaching is there's also transcendental sounds. There's actually mantras that don't have material qualifications, both good or bad, and they affect the consciousness and can take this jiva, or the soul, right out of the body. I don't know why all three of them work, but they do, at least in my laboratory, which is me trying all three of them on a regular basis and leaning away from the ones that really defile the consciousness. So sound coming out of your mouth is affecting the consciousness. I understand the principles behind Goenka and those teachings because they're Vedic principles. Stop speaking. You're causing so much negative ripple effect by what's coming out of your mouth. But the next question is, what are the positive things? I think you were going more towards, hey, what has this got to do with vaccines? I don't think it has anything to do with vaccines. I think the guy just they think they're doing a good thing. They have this thing that it really affects you in a deep way. And so they're figuring out how they can keep the doors open. That's my speculation of their organization, of how they run it. But I don't know if it's an international thing, if each one is their own private thing. Maybe one couldn't care less. Maybe one is in Texas and one is in New York City. You know what I mean? I don't know the politics. All I know is the politics of vaccination destroyed one of my yoga studios I owned and left everybody out of business teaching online. But there's politics of every state that you're going to.
I'm sorry. That sucks.
Oh yeah, it was a crazy year. Everybody, divorce was high. People, anxiety, alcoholism, sex addiction, drug addiction. All these things went through the roof. And we really did some deep psychological damage on people. But we're going to look back at this as a very peculiar time in history, I think. But anyway, mine isn't, in my contribution, I feel like in this world, isn't to give some political analysis of stuff, but I can teach of like my own self-governance and how that can be like useful or problematic. And sort of that's what I do. I just sort of teach by my own shortcomings or teach by my own where I think I made an appropriate choice. But I don't know. I can't comment on why they did that or who did that. I can teach you the benefits of shutting my mouth, which is what we taught. 10 days of shutting my big mouth up.
No eye contact.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I have two people that listen to our podcast that, we do a podcast. We don't use StreamYard like this, but we're an Apple Podcast and all that, but we do it live on Zoom because it's fun, because sometimes we have interaction with the audience. And
Wisdom of the Sages every morning at 5:30 a.m.
Yeah, actually, we're doing it at 6 a.m. New York time now. We change it up sometimes. And it's the study of Vedic philosophy, but sometimes, people come on the show and we get to know them by face. And two of the people met in the Vipassana training. They did have eye contact. They broke the rules, fell in love, and there you go.
My after every Vipassana that my wife's done, someone will come up to her and talk to her about what they witnessed from her. And I always think that's funny too. I'm like, I thought they're not supposed to look at you.
My wife.
What?
Stop witnessing my wife.
Yeah. What are you doing?
You think you are witnessing my wife?
Raghunath, have you met Michael Singer, the author of Living Untethered?
No.
Do you know that book?
I don't. Sorry.
That's okay.
I like the name of the book though.
Yeah, you got to read this book.
Okay.
You got to check this book out. Hey, that going back to that Kendrick Lamar song, here's another fascinating thing. In the beginning, he takes a soundbite from Eckhart Tolle, which just completely blows me away.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I feel? No matter what music scene you're in, no matter what gender you're in, no matter what gender preference you have, no matter what race we are, truth is truth. Love is love, right? We hear that a lot. Love is love. And hate is hate. And so those I don't care if a person's a Christian or so-called Hindu or Muslim. Truth is truth. If it resonates with your heart, like, yeah, that makes deep sense. No one's got no one church has a monopoly on God. That's nonsense.
Everyone loves the harmonium.
The harmonious harmonium.
I heard when I went to school at UC Santa Barbara, and Ram Dass came there with his homeboy. Who's the guy who plays the Krishna Das? Is it Krishna Das plays the harmonium?
Krishna Das, yeah.
And they were there. I think it was after Ram Dass's stroke. There was a little.
My buddy's with Krishna Das. He lives up here near me.
Oh, you know him?
Very well.
Do you guys jam?
I've hung out with him in India a couple times, and he's come. A matter of fact, I think he might be coming here next week.
Oh my goodness! Tell him I said hi.
I will.
Anyway, the harmonium's awesome. That was actually, I've seen him twice. I saw him once in San Francisco too. I think I've seen like 3 concerts in my life. Ice Cube and Krishna Das twice.
By the way, if people don't know what we're talking about, harmonium is it's used in sort of Indian classical music. It's a pump piano the size of a bread box. And it's interesting because classic Indian, these ancient music, there's no steps. If you're a musician, there's steps between the A sharp, B sharp, like that. You're going up a scale. There's half steps and whole steps, but in Indian music, it's not like that. It's like it's like sort of a gong, has no steps. You hit a gong, it's bong. So and it has a deep cellular effect. But for some reason, this European instrument with a European keyboard, which had legs at one time, you might want to Google that up.
You mean like it actually stood up, or you mean like it was getting notoriety?
Sit down. See if you can find one of those on Google Images. It got shipped to India like in the 1700s or something. You could probably find the origins of it on Wiki. And the legs snapped off, or they broke the legs off, and it somehow got incorporated into Indian classical music.
Oh, too funny.
Yeah, but it's actually European because it's got those steps. But now when it's used, you'll hear the singers sing over the half steps.
Hey, that's how I drive, by the way. I can't stand that driving when people like do it in steps. Driving is flow. Driving's like surfing. Wow, that is nice with the stand.
Oh, wow, I've never seen that. That's got foot pedals. These are all classic ones. These are super cool.
Hey, send Raghunath a link to that. I bet you he's $3,000 poorer 5 minutes after the show's over.
I'll take it.
It's in stock.
Yep.
I kind of can't believe it's only $3,000.
Crazy.
Did you ever get into the Castaneda books, Carlos?
A little bit. Super interesting. Interesting.
Carlos.
Yeah.
I had those were the first when I was reading those, I was in Santa Barbara and I was homeless at the time, and that was when I first started like really seeing some powers of manifestation or thought. Well, I always, are you manifesting or are you telling the future? It's kind of the same thing, right? Like, are you bringing that stuff to you, or are you telling the future? So, but it was fun. I really enjoyed those books. They were. I mean, I'm kind of glad I got away from them, but man, they were neat.
Yeah.
I think they were true.
Did you get into psychedelics because of it, or were you into psychedelics? Is that
no, not really. I mean, I think I've done LSD like less than a dozen times, probably less than a half dozen times. I fucked around with MDMA, probably like for
no clue what that is.
A month or two. It's ecstasy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ecstasy. It's kind of like, yeah. Did you ever play with drugs?
I did mushrooms once, and I had a very profound spiritual realization from it. And that spiritualization drove me deeper and deeper into my Bhakti path. And I brought up I had a mentor at the time, and he said something very sanguine and very beautiful to me. And I said, well, what do you think about mushrooms? Because I took mushrooms and I had a very, very deep spiritual experience. As a matter of fact, it's what got me into this ashram in the first place, because at that moment, I started to realize the temporality of material existence and all my hopes to like redo my apartment or buy furniture or paint the things. It's also petty in the massive, extreme zooming out of my existence, of my life is so tiny and short. And it sort of like trampolined me or slingshotted me on my spiritual path. So why are you so, why would you be against taking these useful, doctors, so to speak, or healing me? And he said, never mistake. It was a great one-liner. He said, don't mistake the flute for the player of the flute.
Oh,
So I like that. He said, basically, there's some higher source behind the instrument that you're using. And if you give all the credit to, because he goes, for example, you could also take those mushrooms and have a horrible trip, and people do, or have a horrible experience. He said, so there's ultimately, you don't need a external source. They might help you and give you some realization. But on this path, you're not going to need to go out there. It'll all come from your deep connection with source.
But by the way,
and they're not, and you can't expect deep spiritual realizations to be sort of like a gum machine where you just put in a chord. Now I want my realization. Now I want my realization. You got to work for it. Also, you got to put in your time, your devotion. How do people fall in love in this world? You can't just say, love me. You've got to, just like if you're dealing with a beaten dog, and those beaten dog, you learn to love those dogs by loving them. And then eventually they develop trust and they start to reveal themselves to you. And you can have actually an intimate relationship with someone who's been damaged. And we're damaged and we're trying to reclaim a relationship with source. And it can't be cheap. You might get a taste for something cheap, and it might be like the trailer to the movie, but you're not going to get the full movie. It's not like these great transcendentalists from the past were like, yeah, we need to do tons of psychedelics to understand spirituality. I think they can serve a purpose, but I think they have to be letting go. And then we have to take full responsibility for our spiritual life. What do you think about that?
Me? I like the way you wrap that. And what do you think about that? I think if you want to expedite spirituality, just lay down and die. If you want to fucking the rocket fuel, if you want the rocket fuel for,
I'm not quite sure about that, actually.
I'm 100% positive. All you need to do is lie down and no matter what, even if you have an itch on your head, don't itch it. Fully surrender. Completely surrender and lie down and die. You have to take a piss or shit, do it right there in your pants. Die. Commit to the path of death. Do not move. And at that point, you also see something else. I don't know if we're going to get into this, but you also see that the illusion of willpower. And you'll see the illusion of freedom of choice.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's a fascinating one, but and it's
so
easy.
It's a whole thing to unpack.
Yeah, it's at your fingertips.
Our choices, our karma puts us in a little bit of a box, and there's a way to enhance more freedom. But we do have a certain karma that we're riding out and that we have to deal with and we have to face up with, because no motion in my life, no activity in my life is within a snow globe. Doesn't exist on an island. Right. Everything I do it's gonna affect somebody and something else, and it's also going to affect my future choices. In
this movie from the I think it was from the 80s, there's a movie called Terminator.
You're not going to believe this, but I've never seen that movie.
That is hard to believe.
Movie.
That's very hard to believe.
I'm very, very movie illiterate. I'm not proud of it. I'm not showing off. even today, it's just today is even worse because every time I
I'm
sit down to watch a movie, I'm asleep in the first 4 minutes.
yeah.
I'm serious. Could have been the deal breaker of our marriage.
The last 50 times I've sat down to watch a movie with my wife, we end up. She should never give me the remote because we watch 20 trailers and then I'm like, I'm going to bed.
I almost wish someone just
Preview everything.
watch this movie. This is what you're. I did watch. It was 7 Years in Tibet recently. I stayed
What was the name of it? Because that's one of my questions for you. What was the name of the movie you watched?
7 Years in Tibet. You know, the one with Brad Pitt.
Oh, okay. Hey, have you seen that? Have you seen that movie? I'm trying to think if it's like a Korean movie, some Asian movie, but it's called like Winter, Spring, Summer, Fall.
No,
I
really don't watch that many movies.
Can you try to find that, Susan? You have to see this. You're gonna love this. Okay, I've given you 2 homework assignments. This movie. What was the other thing? There was another homework. Oh, Untethered by Michael Singer.
Matt,
The reason why
that stuff, Matt, please.
Yes, Matt.
I apologize for being so hard to get a hold of.
No, you're not.
No,
What are you talking about? You're easy. You gave us your phone number. Like when we have UFC fighters on
phone number, I just never respond to the message.
In this movie Terminator, he's a robot that comes from another planet, and anytime someone says something, he gets like 5 choices. So like you say something, and then it'll be like no, yes, what's your name, and I need to double check that. Yes. Oh no, it's that one. It's that one. Summer, autumn. It's that one. Sorry. Summer, autumn. See the one on the left there? This movie, by the way, yes, that's it. Spring, summer. Yes.
No,
anyone who sees this, you'll have your brain blown.
Spring,
is it okay?
All winters.
Yeah, you will absolutely have. You will be so tickled. In one of the things podcasts I saw you doing, you talk about the importance of what you put in. Regarding food, music, visuals, I think you will be absolutely tickled by this. God, this was so good.
I have sort of parameters of what I put in.
So there is this. Do you watch UFC?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not regularly, not regularly, but I do. Here's the deal: I'm not against fighting. I think fighting has a place in culture and society.
Okay.
And so nothing is good or bad. It depends how it's used. And just like dancing is an art, ballet is an art, music's an art, fighting's an art.
What about horror films? I
don't consume them.
But do you think that they have a place? I mean, not that I would outlaw them, but man, they're to me they're like back.
Yeah, I don't consume them. But I'm just saying, as far as like fighting, I was speaking in terms of fighting.
I get scared in horror movies. I'm scared still at 50 years old.
It's like true crime podcasts. I don't need to hear that stuff.
Ugh.
Now, it doesn't mean like detectives or people who are in law enforcement shouldn't hear that stuff. But, I've had like for example, if you're going to be a surgeon, you got to be able to deal with blood,
Right.
Yeah.
There's certain people, they see blood, they faint, they break their teeth, There's certain people that, when there's certain people who are dealing with, crime. They have to understand the mind of criminals, and they have to take all that stuff in, but they have to be able to stomach all that stuff. They have to have the mind for it. There's certain people that should lead. They're good leaders and meant to lead. And so they have to learn diplomacy, and they have to learn, how to deal with, other, rogue nations, or start to know when you're being a rogue nation, stuff like that. So the dharma of a person who's a politician is going to be different than a dharma of someone who plays the guitar. Yeah. Who's Ben Dallas here? Who's this guy? It's good.
Some cool, very unexpected way to start the day. Normally watch for exercise related content, but here we are. Yeah. Ray has such a profound impact on so many, for me, since I was a teen, almost 40 now.
Who is it? Is he famous?
Oh, yes. He was the first man to step foot on Mars. No, just a listener. I don't know who he is. Just another handsome lad on the planet. We're live. Sorry. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, I didn't know we were live. Okay.
Yes. So in this movie Terminator, he always has this list of like 6 things to say. And the famous scene is that someone says something to him and you see him going through the list. And one of the options is to say, fuck you, asshole. And so Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, the Terminator, says, fuck you, asshole. And it's this famous moment.
I didn't know that.
And when I explain to people mindfulness, I explain that you are the exact same way, but we are more primitive, that we don't see our 5 choices simultaneously. They pop up one at a time. And meditation, one of the elements of meditation, one of the aspects of meditation or ways to meditate is to see these roll in. And the most famous example that I give, or most constant example, is someone cuts you off, and your first choice, which you don't see because you're not a meditator, not you personally, you're not a meditator 24/7 like the great Sevan. You just act on it and flip them off back. But if you watch the mind, you will see this one come, and you'll see the next one come, and the next one is almost identical for me always. It's to wave at them. Fascinating. The first one is fuck you back. The second one is to wave. Sorry. Just in that order. And then a third one comes, and then a fourth one comes, and then a fifth one comes, and until, like a fly on shit, your mind travels to something else.
Yep.
And this is, sorry, Ray, to beat a dead horse. This is what I'm talking about when I ask, who the hell in the Vipassana program chose at which point to choose, say, get an injection to come to our damn, your whole thing is to watch your mind, you jackasses. Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry. I can't help it. I can't help it. I'm like a boy with a box with like a bag of rocks.
They might not have had the I don't know the situation. They might not have had the opportunity to even open the doors unless they did that.
Man,
So,
I need a friend like you who just I need a friend like you, Ray. Raghunath.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just have an itch. I have athlete's foot, and I scratch my feet till they bleed sometimes, and you just see that, right? Like I just can't stop.
I get it. I get frustrated.
Okay. Shake it off. Did you like that Brad Pitt movie you saw?
I did.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it.
I mean, it was horrific. What went on in Tibet, but I liked I liked the glimpse of it. I liked the story, and I think it was interesting time in history, problematic time in history.
My listeners are a lot of the people that in our group. We're big on listening to people on how to move, how to take care of your body, and what to put in your mouth. But but what's fascinating is you did say that about movies, and I was curious. I think you should have a movie list, or could you tell us some other movies that you think are good for consumption? Anything pop up right away?
I hate to let you guys down. I'm not a movie guy.
Yeah,
I'm not a movie guy, and I'm not and I don't know a lot about popular culture. So one movie that sticks out of my head that I really like is
Twins, Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Your kids could watch it as well. It was called Kon-Tiki. You ever watch Kon-Tiki?
No.
They should see it. It's a great movie. These guys figured out, these Norwegian professors figured out there must have been travel, because we found these tikis, these deities in South America that were very similar to Indonesia or something like that. And so they figured out, well, no one could cross the ocean back then. And they found the oldest books on how they built boats in those days. And they found these streams. What do they call these? Gulf streams. There it is, Kon-Tiki. Get the original one. Kon-Tiki, in black and white. And it's like a biography. They might have made a dramatized version, but it was a documentary of them crossing the ocean. Everyone thought they were going to die, and they did it just like on a balsa wood tree. They built a boat out of balsa wood, and they thought, well, there's no fish in the middle of the ocean. We'll have nothing to eat. There's no water to drink, and they just figured this out, and they crossed the ocean. And it says something about told me something about sea exploration and what people could do in previous ages when we thought, well, people just, no one traveled so much, and no one knew how to, read compasses from aligning the celestial bodies, and no one could understand. Maybe this wasn't the book you were looking for, or the movie you were looking for. But
no, I am. I'm gonna let I like that you said my kids can watch it. I'm gonna let my kids
can watch, and you can watch it. It's quite fascinating.
Is it black and white or color? I'm seeing two.
The original one I saw was black and white. I've never seen the color one. Okay. By the way, I didn't even read. I didn't realize that people were listening to this. I just clicked on comments and see all these comments. Sorry, I didn't mean to ignore anybody.
I apologize for the guy's name in there, Dick Butter. He's a regular listener.
Man, sometimes you get a name. Sometimes you get crazy parents. Just give names out like that.
Yeah.
The old Dick Butter name. It happens.
During the pandemic, you biked a lot.
Yeah, I did. I totally forgot that I did, but I did.
Yeah, you biked a lot. And did you listen? Did you use headphones?
I did.
And what were your favorite headphones?
Oh God.
Were they wireless?
I think that I had the wireless ones. The ear. I'm
The
a little
AirPods?
I think that I might have just had the ones that you string on back in the 2000s, maybe before I got the earpods. Earbuds.
So you used wired headphones.
I'm not sure. Does it have to do with this question?
No, well, I'm just curious.
This one,
I heard you. I heard you on your bike a lot, and then I got the impression you were listening to stuff while you were riding. I'm like, oh, I wonder what ear. I love headphones.
I'm tech zero. I'm going to bore you. I'm really boring in a lot of regards, and I'm okay with that.
Do you have EMF fear?
What is EMF?
Okay, I won't even tell you. Never mind. There's no reason to spread. There's no reason to spread shit around like that. I won't tell you.
It's a fear spreader.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy. You talk about you mentioned about another subject that's dear to my heart about do you have to go?
I do sort of have to go today.
Okay, fine.
I'm finishing a book and I have to read the entire thing from beginning to end because the editors just went through it.
Is this your first book?
This is, well, not really, but it's the first one I had one I just printed years ago. It was printed 5,000 copies. It sold out. You can't really find it.
What's the name of it?
It's called In Defense of Reality.
And what's the second book called?
This book, I don't know the name of this one, but it's sort of my life story.
Oh, that's it. Hey, that's a great name for it right there.
My life story.
No, it's sort of my life story.
Sort of my. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna write that down. That is good. So
that is good.
I'm very open to it.
Oh, Dick, you are a world-class asshole. He wants to know what kind of shampoo you use. How dare you? How dare you?
Oh, Dick Butter.
Okay, fine. I'll ask him. Raghunath, what kind of shampoo do you use?
Okay. Thank you.
No, he doesn't. He refuses to answer. I'm sorry. Your Honor, the witness is being hostile. Look at him. He's just been enamored by the Hey, that guy's name down at the bottom, Bill Plummer, that's his real name.
Okay.
But that sounds made up as shit too. But I know him. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thank you, my friend.
I'm going to put you into Google alerts when your book comes out.
Great.
I'm going to harass you. I have your phone number. You can't get away from me. I know where you train jiu-jitsu. So thanks you very much for coming on. I loved having you on. I love you. You look like we could be brothers.
Yeah, we could be. We got that gray silver fox beard.
Yeah.
And we are brothers.
Yes.
And thank you so much. And if you care our podcast, we do a spiritual study. It's fun because we do a lighthearted but very serious. Like today, I went from laughing hysterically to crying, like actual crying out of sadness on our podcast this morning. But if you want to check us out anywhere you get podcasts or YouTube, Wisdom of the Sages.
Wisdom of the Sages every morning, 6 a.m. Eastern time. That's
or that's if you want to join us live on Zoom. But otherwise, it's you just get it wherever you get podcasts. You can binge listen. But I think it's important to have podcasts where people can relate to, and I think it's a whole new revolution of edutainment, entertainment. And I love the fact that we can just do it ourselves instead of waiting. I want to get a television gig, I love the fact that people are just making podcasts. It's beautiful.
It is cool. Except I did see you get invited onto a podcast that I watched and I felt sorry for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why I don't do too many other people's podcasts. I mean, the guy invited you on it. English was his second language, and I think I may even saw you get a little irritated. Maybe.
I could get irritated. I got to learn to be tolerant, don't I?
Maybe.
Anyway, thanks, brothers. I appreciate
Bye.
it.
Thank you.
Peace
Appreciate
and
it.
love.
Thank you so much.
It's my newest thing. Instead of ending the podcast and talking to them, to kick them off and talk to the.
I know, but unfortunately, I have to go too.
Fuck.
I know. I got to make it out to Hayward.
What time you got to be there?
In about 9. I try to get there before 9, and traffic's just crazy. I leave the same time every day, and sometimes I get out there 10 minutes ahead of time, and sometimes I get out there 10 minutes late. It's nuts. The station I'm at right now is all the way on the far side of Hayward from Livermore, though.
God, I lack humility.
The next, why do you say that?
I'm just a savage. I'm a savage. I was driving home some points. I wanted to drive home some points.
Yeah. I don't think he wanted to go there though.
Or he couldn't. He's wonderful. I love him. I wish he was my. There's so many guests I wish were my neighbor. I should have asked him what his greatest spiritual moment was. Meaning when the most uncertainty, the deepest he's delved into the unknown. But there's this. I had this experience, and now at a young age, and my whole life, every question I ask, whether it's to fucking Annie Thor's daughter or to fucking the guy behind the counter, is going to lead to me wanting to know, have you seen that? And I just can't get there with anyone.
Why not?
Because I have to go to that place myself, and I kind of have to like get myself in a frenzy and work my way down into that deep spot. And I just want to lure people down there and be like, hey, do you see this? Do you feel this?
Do you feel like in order to go that path, you have to feel that connection first? It's almost like you're kind of
no. It's kind of like it's almost like kind of I hang out down there in the bottom of this well, and I'm just shooting up flares or a beacon.
Seeing who sees it and comes down.
Yeah, like, hey, you want to come see this? Like, or are you already here? Like, it's dark down there. You can't see. I don't know who's even there or not there.
I mean, I could tell that you were trying to lure that conversation to go there a little bit with it,
Yeah.
but I don't feel that he was
Well, maybe he doesn't even know it exists.
into
I'm pointing to it. If you don't know that place exists that I'm talking about, then you don't know it exists. Like, you can't even fathom it exists.
I mean, I'm pretending I know it exists. I don't know.
I know. I appreciate
but
that.
I've heard you talk about it. I feel like I've heard you talk about it enough times to where like I'm like, okay.
He's got some great lines. I meant to ask him about this one. This is a beautiful line Raghunath has. He says, I'll leave you with this one, but before we all go, he says that every man has a hole in his heart that's shaped like God, and he spends his whole life trying to fill it. But only one thing can fill it, and it's God. And I thought, wow, that's cool. I like that. That's like a great visual, right?
Yeah.
Like you put pussy in there and money in there and kids in there, and just like you just keep trying to fill it, food.
But there's only one thing.
Yeah, there's only one thing that.
Interesting.
Yes, I do. Mr. Butter, I do pee in the well.
I mean, it's kind of the all equalizer, right? Like sometimes we get caught up in social status and like all these different things where we put each other on these different levels. But at the same time, fundamentally, you could go to, even the richest people in the world and go to Elon or something like that, who has the most social status. And you could say, hey, where did we come from and where are we going and what are we doing here? And we all just kind of sit there and stare because nobody actually like knows or has the answer to that question. So it just puts everybody on an even playing field.
Right.
Even the smartest people we know, they can't answer that. Their guess is as good as yours. It's an equalizer.
Right. We have someone on tonight that I've done no research for.
It's the CrossFit guys, right? Yeah. Rob Forte.
Yeah, I'm looking. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They said they have something to chat about, so I don't know.
I don't think they do.
You could just do one of these. All right, gentlemen, welcome to the show. The floor is yours.
At 6 p.m. tonight, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I have to take my kids to tennis. I'm going to be late. I'm going to have to maybe adjust that to
We could
6:15.
push it back because they're on Australia. So it's
I don't know if I've ever
morning.
spoken with Rob Forte. I really like both these guys, and man, Jay Crouch was crazy impressive. Maybe Brian will come on this and carry the.
I hope he does. He said that it was a possibility for him.
Carry the. I wonder if I can call Brian and ask him. Oh, maybe let me see. Brian, I'm gonna text him right now. You can go if you want. Sorry, I don't mean to drag you through this nonsense.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do have to run now, though.
Okay.
All right. Are you gonna stay on for a minute?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay on. I'll call you when I get off.
Roger,
Brian, will you? Bye.
Come on, please, Brian. No,
Nice to see you, Susan. Thanks for joining me.
Oh,
will you
better.
come on tonight with Rob and Jay? Let's see what he says. Oh, it says Brian has notification silence, and then it asks me, do you want to notify him anyway? Like I get to decide that I get to bypass that? Oh, that's good. I'll write that down in my notes. J1 Torian. I watched all that shit too. I just can't remember any of that stuff. Can you call me now and come on the show for 2 minutes? Wait. Oh, wait. You don't have to. Let's see if Brian will come. Oh, maybe I'll just send him a link right here. Oh, hi. Hi, you're live on the air.
Do you just want me to come on the stream like regularly?
Or just talk to us. Everyone can hear you. All 40 people listening.
What do you want to know?
I want to know if you're coming on tonight to do. I just finished a show and I'm trying to advertise the show this evening, and I'm wondering if you're going to come on with Rob Forte and Jay Crouch, and if I can say and special guest Brian Friend.
I'm intending to. Well, we'll see how I feel. I have a lot to do today.
Do you have COVID?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't be doing anything if I had COVID. That was terrible.
I think I have it.
Well, you're tougher than me.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to bug you throughout the day and remind you.
Sounds good.
Okay. You're a good dude. Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Brian's coming on. I'm pretty sure I heard him say it. I need, you know what I need to do? I'm trying to become friends with the Lauren Khalil so that like I have like a whole different, like if Brian's busy or if she's busy, like I have other people I can just draw from. You know what I mean? Trying to build a friendship with her, to use her. Man, did you see all those pieces she did on the morning chalk up? Crazy. Okay. Guys, that's a great show. Love the guest. What a dope dude. Had him for an hour and 9 minutes. I feel like that was successful. There's some big time shit to get Brian on with 30 seconds notice. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's what you were supposed to see, actually. You want to know who's going to be on this week? Let me tell you, it's crazy. Oh, and we got the Granite Games. You know, I at some point this week, I think for sure I will get Colton Mertens on too, by the way. I kind of just have to. I need to talk to him. It's been too long. On Wednesday, on Wednesday morning, we have Hunter McIntyre on at 7 a.m. Then in the evening, we have Jack Della Maddalena. Do you guys know who that is? If you don't, you need to. He's a UFC fighter. I think he's 11-2. He's fighting in the main card on UFC 275. I'm so pumped. Then on Thursday, you know that dude Victor that you fucking knuckleheads keep sending me his post from Instagram. He's on a team and he couldn't come on to CrossFit Games, wouldn't let him compete. He's coming on. He's going to tell us his story, because it's too long. His post is too long. And then maybe after that, you know what I need to do? I need to see if Justin Medeiros wants to come on. Like that should only be like a half hour where we talk about the team that couldn't make it to the games, right? I don't want to dwell on that shit. And then in the evening, we have David Lucas, a comedian from Kill Tony. That's going to be awesome. I actually need to confirm that. And Friday doesn't. Oh, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we just blast into the Granite Games. And I think that there's one other event in Europe, not the Syndicate, Strength and Depth. That's what it is. On that note, I'll see you guys this evening. I'm excited to speak to the Aussies.